I sort of got involved with this because I had high cholesterol, because I've got heart disease in my family. So I'm interested in that. And also my daughter said I was developing boobies, so I thought I better lose them. Okay, let's have another rehearsal and do it.
Here we go.
Oh, you right?
The thing that I'm looking for is a permanent, like for me to come out the other end and feel I really want to do this ongoing. Basically a permanent life change.
I've worked in health most of my life, primarily because I was very ill as a child, and no one could help me. In fact, no one knew what was wrong with me. I began to work with people in relation to aging, in other words, slowing it down rather than speeding it up, because I have this belief that when you learn something yourself and you find it works, you need to share it with other people.
I've been noticing a slight drop-off in my energy levels. Things I used to do quite easily, now I'm starting to stop and think about it and wait a minute, boy, I don't like this at all. And I get really hacked off when people say, oh, but you're getting older. And it really gets my nose.
You know, much of the tests.
To age or not to age is the question Leslie Kenton raises.
And what you're going to be aiming at is...
Along with many scientists, she believes it's possible to slow down the rate at which our bodies age, maybe even reverse it, largely by making simple changes in the way we live and eat.
28.6.
For 5 weeks, Leslie worked with 8 New Zealanders between the ages of 30 and 60 to put her ageless aging program to the test.
I used to be quite a bit of an insane person. I'd like a bit of the insanity back.
Get my lifestyle back on track again. More balanced eating and exercise program.
I get the feeling you should be able to breastfeed and have energy, but I don't have any energy, so...
My mum died very young. She was 53, and I thought she was too young to die. And Dad died in very poor health.
You're going to put some more water in. Yeah. Okay.
One of the reasons we decided to do this was to look very specifically at what's possible for people when they change their diet to a way of eating that is much more in keeping with what the human body has been used to throughout its more than 1 million years of evolution.
I like the idea of new things to experiment with, so I'm not really afraid of that. But if it was a major hassle and radically changing my diet, that would be an annoyance more than anything. But I'm prepared to try it for 6 weeks because I may well find I'm pleasantly surprised that this is better than I thought it would ever be.
Before our test group started, the medical team at Wakefield Hospital measured them to determine their biological age, so we'd have hard medical facts to measure the program's success or failure.
130/92.
They first checked out blood pressure, cholesterol, blood fats and insulin levels, all factors in the aging process. Then, exercise physiologists determined how much of each body was lean muscle tissue and how much fat, since this is one of the most important biological markers of age. Many of the abnormalities that contribute to rapid aging are factors in Syndrome X. Our test group aimed to reverse the abnormalities of the syndrome and so rejuvenate their bodies. The most important telltale sign of Syndrome X is the way insulin behaves in the body. Tony Edwards is a GP who regularly tests his patients for insulin resistance.
The tests are available in New Zealand. They're not yet on what you call the national schedule, but I did notice in one of our magazines recently, Professor Jim Mann from Otago actually called for us to be measuring insulin levels more.
There's really a very rich supply of fabulous leading-edge information about functional medicine, basically about health and how to be healthier, in New Zealand that you don't get anyplace else.
Linolenic acid.
Leslie enlisted Tony to provide medical support for our group as they begin their lifestyle changes. But to see medical changes in 5 weeks is a tall order.
It really doesn't matter that we have a short period of time, because once you get the bug and you know what's possible and how you can feel and look so much better than you have been, anything happens. It'll be interesting to see.
Your blood pressure was a little on the high side.
Yes, surprise. I didn't think it would be.
Quite often relates to high insulin levels.
All right.
Everybody's program was based on eating masses of fresh green vegetables, as well as more fish, meat and chicken.
41% of what you weigh is fat.
41.
Yep. So,
Far out.
so
Those people in the group who had very high levels of body fat were asked to completely cut out bread, cereals, sugar and sweets of any kind during the 5-week period, and to drink lots of water.
a whole lot of people with high insulin levels never become diabetic. They do have heart attacks and things.
Those participants whose body fats were lower also cut out sugar and bread and were asked to minimise their intake of other starchy foods like potatoes, rice, pasta and cereals.
Around about a third of your 65 kilos is fat. All right? So that's the one that'll move on the program.
Everybody was asked to eat more fatty fish like mackerel, tuna and sardines. These foods are rich in particular kinds of oils that recent research shows are highly beneficial.
A lot of people think that paying attention to diet or the body is a waste of time because really we should be doing other things. Well, I mean, I thoroughly agree, but we live through our bodies. And if you want to stay up all night and dance at a rave, if you want to make movies, if you want to get a PhD at the age of 50, you're going to need a hell of a lot of energy, and that comes through the body. We live in the body. Every feeling that we get comes through the body. And I think we forget that in our society. That. Okay, so we have
A major cause of Syndrome X and the accelerated aging which goes with it is believed to be a diet far too high in processed starchy foods and sugars, and too low in both protein foods and in fresh, non-starchy, bright-coloured vegetables. Most bright-coloured vegetables are rich in phytonutrients, compounds that have been found to slow down the aging process.
The colour is so lovely.
Most of the phytonutrients that are coloured are the ones that have the health benefits. For example, the anthocyanins that are present in berries, present in certain apples, have very strong antioxidant activity. And the carotenoids are another group there. They're the compounds that give orange-coloured carrots, peppers, all those sorts of vegetables. So by choosing coloured vegetables, by choosing the really vibrant colours, you actually are getting a good intake of phytonutrients.
My children, reaction, what would it be? They will scream blue murder. They'll probably go on strike.
It's just eating one particular vegetable won't give you all the different phytochemicals. So broccoli may provide one group, carrots may provide a different group, and potatoes may provide something else. And by eating more fruits and vegetables, we'd also displace, in some cases, the fat content, so we balance things up much better by eating lots of fruit and vegetables.
I put the apple in the... Because that's the whole thing about salad making. It is so nice, particularly if you've been living in a very mechanical world, you've been in an office, you've been pretending to be intelligent all day, you've been out, doing all these dynamic things. To come home and to work with something, smell this stuff, that smells like
Well, it was good watching her prepare food because it made me realise how easy it was going to be. It was a bit scary because it was sort of up here, and you think that because you're changing your diet somehow the food's going to get really strange. I don't know, but I feel confident about it.
It's cheaper in a can.
The kinds of oils we use may also play a vital part in slowing down aging. Flaxseed is one of the best because it's very much like the beneficial oils found in fatty fish. The benefits of olive oil are now well known, but surprisingly, coconut oil is also beneficial. These oils may even help protect us against heart disease, but Leslie asks the group to avoid the highly processed golden oils found in supermarket shelves, as she believes these may contribute to more rapid aging.
The one thing I'm interested in, though, because this goes back to when grandparents were running around. Have you ever come across that?
Sure, my grandmother used it for everything.
Right. Do you know what it's made of?
No, but this is, if it's vegetable shortening, it's not the real shortening. I would imagine that's made of hydrogenated fats. Let's see, what do we got here? We've got... No, it's made of coconut oil.
That's what I saw.
Oh, what a wonderful product. Where did you get this?
Supermarket.
Oh, Peter, that's fantastic. And that's available from like any supermarket?
Yeah.
I've never seen it before. That's great. I mean, coconut oil is so good, and it's full of medium-chain triglycerides, which actually spur fat burning. It's really inspiring to work with a group of people that are just so passionate about what they're doing. Of course, this is early days, and everybody in the beginning is always enthusiastic to start.
For our test group, the challenge is to stick to these lifestyle changes for at least 5 weeks.
I'm not so sure, Peter, about the cat food. I don't think this is really right. The youth date, yes, okay. This is what the youth date is about.
Changes in diet are a fundamental part of Leslie's program, but she believes that diet alone is not enough to slow down and maybe even reverse the body's biological age. She asks our test group to increase their physical activity. Leslie introduces them to a daily 30-minute walk, and she also starts them on weight resistance exercise.
If we keep using our muscles, our bones and joints and keep strengthening them, then we won't stay as fit as we were when we were 30, but we can certainly improve our lifestyles in our elder years. And this has been proven many times with very good research trials looking at elderly people.
Yeah.
We need a combination of aerobic fitness to maintain our heart and lung fitness, and that will obviously reduce our lifelong risks of having a heart attack, having a stroke, improve our glucose control, basically reducing the risks of getting those diseases that will shorten our lifestyle.
You're trying to be in absolute awareness of the muscle as you go up and down, and I think you're going to need slightly heavier weights.
Weight-bearing exercise is very important for our bone density, and women during their lifetime will lose 50% of their trabecular bone, which is a spongy bone, and at least 30% of their cortical bone. And that's why we get osteoporosis and why our bones get weak, why we get fractures in the hip and in the wrist and in the spine.
Exercise decreases insulin resistance, so helps to reverse Syndrome X and de-age the body. Our group are using a series of videos that train a different muscle group each day. They're designed by Michael Colgan.
This is external rotations, bottom to top. It's a simple exercise and anyone can do it, and it is probably one of the best exercises you could ever do for your shoulders. The body begins from the inside out. You have to build the core of the body and the spine and what holds it up. This is the basic test. If you cannot if you cannot hang and raise your straight legs up like this, then you know your transversus is weak.
When you find that your transversus is weak, what exercise do you start
with? A very, very simple exercise. You lay flat on your back. You bring your legs up. Actually, people that are really weak only bring one leg up. And you lower them down at all the times, keeping your lower back pressed into the floor. It's not lifting the legs up that counts. It's the lowering them down. Because then, in order to do that, your transversus has to push your organs against your back. And that's what it's supposed to do when you're standing up. But most people don't. They sort of hang out.
Right. You've got a lot more control than you had yesterday or day before. You feel it, don't you? Yeah. You're really conscious of what's going on as you're doing it. Great.
When you introduce a change to your body after a lifestyle of little exercise and poor diet, it can at first rebel. The challenge is to adopt new habits.
I just noticed when I went to work, I just said things that I normally wouldn't say, and I just felt like I was free to be myself a bit more. It's been really good. In 3 days.
Yeah, okay. My major concern is that without taking the carbohydrates which I'm used to, i.e. bread and bananas and perhaps potatoes, that's a staple part of my diet along with the veggies, etc., that when I do the activities, we load up a bit on that stuff, like cycling for 5 or 6 hours and up and down hills and over ranges, that I could run out of gas.
I looked very carefully to find some supplements that you can take when you're actually out on a long cycle. Okay. And they are exactly the balance that we're working with in your diet, which is 30% carbs, 30% good fat, and 40% protein. Carbohydrate.
Leslie knows that refined and highly processed foods contribute to the body's aging. The more of them we eat, the faster we age. Starchy, sugary foods and highly processed oils also contribute to Syndrome X. She has evidence that cutting down on them can slow the rate at which your body grows older. Eating such foods too often also contributes to rapid aging because of the many chemicals used in their growing and manufacture.
And I go around all the fruit and veg and the meat, you know, and I leave pretty well everything else alone, apart from, well, getting things like chili powders and, you know, tasty things like that.
There's 11-month-old Ben, there's me, and then there's my partner Guy, who's a vegetarian. So can we all eat the same kind of ratio of protein to carbohydrates to fats?
The diet that you're working with, which is the insulin balanced diet, is just a really ideal diet for human beings, basically.
Yeah, I came home yesterday evening, and the guy underneath me said about that. He said he's a personal trainer, and he said, you know, you look different. Your skin colour's changed. And I said, oh well, I'm on this diet and did the spiel. And he said, no, it's amazing. He says it's really different.
There you go. You know, the first thing I probably noticed is better quality sleep. I cannot get over how well I slept last night.
In the course of day-to-day life, our bodies produce molecules called free radicals. These molecules also contribute to Syndrome X and are implicated in rapid aging, especially when they're present in great number. Fruits and vegetables contain antioxidants which help counter the negative effects that too many free radicals can cause.
We know that, you know, the body has its antioxidant defences, and these might be defences that it makes itself. There are a variety of enzymes that function to remove radicals. Also, there's certain small molecules, vitamin C, vitamin E, that have the function of scavenging radicals.
One way of doing this is to eat more fresh green vegetables, like broccoli. Professor Paul Talalay from Johns Hopkins University in the United States honed in on broccoli sprouts. Broccoli sprouts contain plant compounds which boost the body's own antioxidant defences.
3-day-old sprouts grown from broccoli seeds only by the addition of water and light have enormously high levels of this cancer-fighting chemical.
Eating broccoli sprouts brings 20 to 50 times more antioxidant protection than eating a head of broccoli does. As anti-aging research continues, other new foods will undoubtedly be grown for their health-giving properties.
Prickles are going through where all the major fat deposits are, like something's definitely alive in there. Yeah, and I feel joyful. I feel radiant, like there's lots of light inside instead of just fat cells.
I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to find in another couple of weeks. I think it's going to be an amazing surprise for everybody.
Leslie catches up with the group's progress at the beginning of the 3rd week on the anti-aging experiment. To our surprise, they already report that changing their diet and lifestyle is having an impact on the whole of their lives.
I've been with pain for at least half my life. I actually haven't had very much at all for the last fortnight, and I can't believe it. That's why I'm sitting exactly like I am here. I put my knees into a very strong flexion.
Training has been wonderful because I've had lower back problems lifting children at the daycare, and that strengthened it quite a bit.
I'll write a book after I've done this about how to live like a Trappist monk. I mean, because I think while it's really good for you, there's times when it's not really, it's not as satisfying as eating nice indulgent food.
I've had a wonderful time eating meats. Lots of meats.
People are having a lot more fun, and I'm having a lot more fun. So I'm enjoying that. It's harder. The bigger challenge is domestically changing those rituals that you sort of get brought into walking in and being pissed off and reading the paper or whatever, those type of things.
Diet's important, exercise is important, how you deal with stress is important, but the single most important thing of all, for all of us, in terms of staying healthy and staying fit and young for a long time, is that we follow our passion.
I'm lying on the couch reading, that to me is the most indulgent thing I do that I really love. I'm a passionate reader.
He's a little one.
It's more of a drag than a walk.
It has this wonderful wild feel to it. Can we go in?
Yes.
Okay.
The next stage of the anti-aging program is mind-body balance. To make stress work for us rather than against us, Leslie believes that we need to rediscover the art of balance, a way to help us move at will from a dynamic, excited state into a deeply relaxed, restorative one. Leslie asked Elke Dunlop to introduce the group to the Feldenkrais method. This is based on exercises which shift neurological patterning and help rejuvenate the body.
In the outside world registers in our body. As we age, the ability to push with willpower is less available to us, and so we do need to look at how skillful are we. The Feldenkrais method is fundamental to human function. So how people learn their motor skills in childhood is reflected on how they take their bodies into movement, into exercising. If they learn to move more efficiently, then the exercising becomes a pleasure.
You know, it's not even like we have to do great big stretching or anything like that, just little fine movements that kind of register in our brain, and then by doing those our brain starts to, like, I guess, figure out about contracting and letting go of the muscles.
I've never done anything like that. I suppose it's like yoga and relaxation and really getting your skeleton in sync, in harmony. And it's quite interesting. And out of all these things I've done, I'd say that's the most revelatory thing. When I've done it, I walk out of there feeling absolutely, relaxed. It's fantastic, really.
Now you're going to start your outdoor education.
Our test group's families were becoming intrigued by what they saw happening.
The thing that impressed me was that Schwell said one day that her eyes don't itch when she comes home and not feeling as if she has sand in. And I think if that is part of the diet, I think that's really worth it.
Since the diet, I've got a liver which works well, and therefore my vision is a lot sharper.
Anything else you need to tell us?
You taste that. Oh, yeah. Terry finds it tricky finding time to do these things, but she finds the time. I've walked into the lounge before and found her lying on the floor with a sheet over her in some sort of meditation pose. She's really enjoying it.
He was scruffy and eating all these gourmet foods that were just really bad for him. But he's changed while he's on this diet, like mentally he's changed. It's like he's gone back to school again. Like he knows this whole lot of different things again.
I think it's a different colour.
While our test group are on a voyage of discovery, so too is Leslie.
Tara, Redford, Cura. Yeah.
She learns that the Pacific Islanders' traditional island diet is very similar to the one she's asked our group to follow.
Amen. This traditional diet has become, should we go on to
Yeah,
this side?
let's do it.
Almost like this is now, you go to an island feast, or, we seem to think this is our traditional food,
Right,
but this
okay.
isn't our traditional food. I mean, we still have pork, we still have taro, but we've added corned beef, and we've added
French
potato
bread.
salad and French bread and
Donuts.
and donuts.
The traditional
Cook
Island donuts, yes, that
that's
your
right.
grandmother used to make.
As a result, nowadays we've got a high increase of people who suffer from diabetes, from heart disease, and all sorts of things.
As all over the world.
That's right. That I suppose.
Anne explains to Leslie how she encourages her community to change their lifestyle, promoting eating in a traditional way to help protect them from the diseases of aging.
If you came and said to me, maybe don't eat so much of this and so much of that, and do all the healthy stuff, I'm more inclined to change if you told me that my chances of seeing my grandchildren.
So family and community play a very important
That's
part.
Right, yeah.
In
It's not
giving
just
you the
about
impetus.
me, it's about the rest of my family.
Well, those taro leaves are fantastic.
Are they lovely?
Mama wears. That'd be a great bed for a curry.
As we moved away from fresh, natural produce to eat more and more manufactured foods, human health began to suffer. Examining the bones of our ancestors, paleopathologists and archaeologists explore whether the foods that early hunter-gatherers ate were healthier than what we eat today.
The first settlers throughout New Zealand hunted large birds and sea mammals. They gathered particularly roots and stems of cabbage tree, which is a very nutritious carbohydrate source. They ate a lot of fern root, bracken fern roots, and they also experimented with practically every kind of berry and fern and so on that they could find in New Zealand to provide a variety of plant foods as well as the hunting and fishing. They were great fishermen.
What do you think we might learn from our early Pacific cousins?
They were successfully, in a variety of ways, obtaining an adequate diet. They exercised a lot, of course, which is one of the things that we should certainly take note of, not so much couch potato stuff, no couch potato stuff. And those of them that were more fortunate in tropical areas, probably a good combination of a variety of fruit and vegetables and plenty of fish and an active life would set us a good example.
Leslie and the group found that just looking for a healthy lunch on a city street was quite a challenge.
The deep-fried tofu and stuff, you know, what kind of oil is it fried in?
Most menus contain a high proportion of starchy, sugary dishes. While many government bodies are still urging us to eat more rice, bread and pasta, Leslie advises the group to completely cut out highly processed grains.
The payoffs of paying attention to how you eat and how you live in terms of your exercise and so forth are huge. I mean, the boring ones are that you prevent things like coronary heart disease and many forms of cancer and diabetes and the other degenerative conditions. But more important for me is you actually prevent that loss of energy and passion and enthusiasm.
It's remarkable that to date, all of our group have remained committed to the program. Whether the enthusiasm continues during what Leslie considers are the toughest weeks, that remains to be seen.
Did you not find that the last couple of weeks have been the most challenging? Yes? No?
Personally, I did find
How,
that.
Ariana?
The fact that you're not into the newness of it anymore, that it is actually serious, and there's only you to action what's going on.
Is life without flour worth living?
Well, that's what I had to debate with myself, Leslie, and I came to the conclusion that yes, it is.
Oh, great. No, but we become so attached to stuff like that. How are you finding your weights now?
Just don't meet me in a dark alley. Oh, I can live my...
I had my appointment with my ophthalmologist, eye specialist, and he's been seeing me, you know, in the last while every 2 months because the pressure behind my eyes was getting worse. I went in on Monday and did the test, and he was just absolutely thrilled, and I don't need to see him for the next 9 months.
It wasn't until the end of the third week that I really noticed something. I'd come off a pretty rough week, the Thursday being a rough one, the Friday had been one from hell, and I started work at 6 in the morning, I finished sometime after 7 at night. Signed off, walked out the door, and I felt great.
I've upped my exercise a lot because I've got a triathlon to do next week, so I'm exercising heaps, and I certainly don't lack for energy.
Great, because you were very concerned in the beginning about shifting from a real high carbs way of living, because that's what you have always been told is the way that athletes need to get their energy, but you found that you actually have more energy, do you?
I wouldn't say more, but I've certainly got no less. Yeah, I was really concerned about that. No, there's certainly no less.
The changes the group report, Leslie puts down to reversing the symptoms of Syndrome X and shifting the insulin resistance which goes with it.
Insulin is the hormone that makes it possible for you to carry the energy from your food out of the bloodstream into the cells themselves where you can burn it, where you can use it. Many people in relation to looking at aging because it's the most important hormone we have. And what happens is our bodies, from eating high levels of carbohydrate for a long period of time, become insulin resistant. It also means that when you need energy, you don't have it because you eat the food and the energy is there, but your body's turning it into fat. Some people, they will have other symptoms from it instead. They will have the furring up of their arteries, for instance. They will have a high blood pressure. They will have, again, an inability to call on energy in a steady way.
We tend to think that we've got to start doing something about it in our 40s. When we see our friends getting these things, we think, we've got to do something. But it starts a long time before that. It's the children we should be working with. 1 in 5 children have a chronic illness, things like eczema, diabetes, cancer in children, arthritis.
The population of people in New Zealand over 65 is growing rapidly, and a recent government directive insists that there's going to be an awful lot of money that's going to need to be spent in the next 50 years to take care of these people. What do you think about that?
I think that's absolutely right, but I don't think there's going to be enough money, and I wonder why we can't do some decent prevention. The opticians, ophthalmologists are talking about children's eyes. They're saying that they're going to have a lot of children coming into their 20s and 30s who have reduced vision, partly because of diet.
The group remain enthusiastic about taking responsibility for their body and their health. Although Leslie's support has a lot to do with it, the program seems to be taking on a life of its own. Our test group are experimenting with cooking and socialising according to their new lifestyle.
You eat differently, but you eat well. That's what I like about it. I'm not a starvation sort of guy. It's called Mrs. Moxon's Lemon Posset.
Are you having a dinner party? Is that why we have so much?
Me. Tell me about the black chili and olives.
I ask a lot of questions, ask them what the ingredients are, and basically make sure that there's no sugar in sauces or anything like that.
Sear it off with a little bit of butter, and then the sauce has got
I've got, chicken nibbles, seasoned it with a bit of pepper, Mexican chili, tamari sauce. It's always a favourite, the children love it. Something is changing.
Leslie is a firm believer that nature provides anti-aging support as well, with plants that improve immunity and bring protection against free radicals, those renegade molecules. Her belief is reinforced by the traditional knowledge used by Pomari Riwaka. He belongs to the Te Whānau Kotahiora Complementary Health Group, skilled in using plants for their healing and nutritional properties.
This one's called the mamaku.
Mamaku?
Mamaku.
Mamaku?
Yes. And we use the centre part.
The furry bits?
The furry bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kawakawa, a traditional South Pacific plant, brings relaxation, aids digestion, and is used to treat many age-related conditions.
What is this in here? Oh, this kawakawa, is it ground up?
Ground up.
I don't like taking supplements. I think when they say we're getting too far away from nature, that taking pills has got to be taking you further away from nature. But I accept it, and I don't know much about nutrition, so I'm ignorant on what we're deficient on anyway. Well, here's the supplements. Yeah.
Am I correct in thinking we have no selenium in our soils in New Zealand?
Very deficient in New Zealand, and it's been well proven. I always find it interesting that the farmers always seem to get this one right. There wouldn't be a farmer here in New Zealand that doesn't know that they have to feed selenium to the animals, but they forget us. We do not get the nutrient value from our foods like our grandparents got. We know our soils lack a lot of minerals. If the minerals aren't in the soil, they're not going to be in the vegetable, and then the vegetables and fruits are sprayed as well. I believe we are in an era of supplementation. It can offer the body more nutritional support.
Whatever your age, and whether you take supplements or not, slowing down the aging process takes some real commitment.
I think he was getting to the stage where he felt he wasn't working as well as he used to. He's always been very active. We're sort of in our 50s that you should look at, you need to look at your lifestyle. Youth is not on our side and you can't sort of cheat anymore.
Change occurs, I think, by taking 3 steps forward and 2 steps backwards, which is a good thing. When people go on to a program and then, say, as a lot of our participants have said in the beginning, oh, well, I did a sinful thing. I had a biscuit or whatever. I don't think there's such a thing as sin. I think you have to know what the experience is of having a good, strong, clean body, eating biscuits, and see how you feel. And people are happy the way they are, that's great. Let them be happy. An awful lot of people, though, have a sense that they have a lot of potential and that there are things they want to do that they feel inhibited from doing because they just don't feel well enough.
What is so exciting for me is that the members of our group are learning for themselves not only to de-age their bodies, but how much personal power changing your lifestyle can bring.
During the 5th week, our group undergo the same tests that we put them through at the beginning of the experiment. The acid test coming up for Leslie and our group is whether or not the medical measurements will show any real biological age reversal.
I feel like I'm being marked.
You're being marked.
They're not boobies anymore, they're now gigantic man bumps.
And I have to hold it up with a pen these days. Just amazing, the difference. See a little bit of work with your thing. I couldn't get it, past here.
What I hoped when we started is that the physical changes that would take place, improving their health and the way that they look, would have a profound effect on their own sense of self-esteem and energy and power. And that's exactly what's happened. It was such a gift, I can't tell you, to see it take place.
And here we are.
The adjustment.
We had expected at least 3 people to drop out under the demands of their lifestyle changes, but all 8 turn up for the tests.
Far more even bouts of energy through the day.
You've dropped your body
Rosie
fat.
improved her cholesterol ratio and reduced body fat from 39 to 37, as well as losing 5.5 kilos in weight.
Nearly 30, down to 27.7. Fantastic.
I've started dancing all around the lounge again like I used to do. Jumping off tables and being a bit of a lad. Things I used to do without any drinking involved.
Already, just in 5 weeks, without pills, without drugs. Okay.
Ariana's fitness improved 85%, her blood pressure dropped, and even more telling, her insulin resistance improved.
That's great. Looking at your fasting insulin has dropped from 1,080 to 143.
Which is massive, Ariana. It is
In
absolutely
5 weeks.
incredible.
Obviously being good.
Yeah.
As I understand it, I think your insulin level is one of those biomarkers of ageing. Something you can't see, but something in your internal metabolism, physiology, that if it reduces the amount of insulin, increases your body's tolerance of it, that's probably more akin to a younger person than an older person.
Body mass index.
Vic's body fat reduced from 26.2 to 20.8%, and his high blood pressure returned to normal.
Right? I tell you, I'd be surprised if you ever need drugs for your blood pressure.
Okay.
Yeah.
To do it hardcore like we all have, or I have for the last 6 weeks, is probably a little bit more sterile than I would choose. I've done it for the commitment to the program and give myself a good chance of really evaluating it honestly. I've done that. I wouldn't want to be that strict with my life. I think go to some vices.
I've always wanted to eat all the fresh fruit and vegetables, but you do it for a while and then you let it go because it's hard work, but the eating's quite easy. The weights that we do, the 4 videos, they're really easy. The walking, the relaxation techniques, it's a lot of tools that make it a lot easier.
Well, I can see the difference in your teeth. All right?
I know, yeah.
Yeah, and you seem more confident and all.
Terry's body fat reduced from 35 to 32%, and her overall fitness increased 65%.
You had a problem before with your triglycerides, those free fats running around in your blood.
Peter's blood fats dropped from 3.6 to 1.1, well into the normal range.
You've dropped right down into the normal
We've
range.
been eating heaps of fat too.
The right kind of fat, though.
The diet's done wonders for me. Like I've got my stomach's so much better and I've got my weekend energy back, but I'm still finding that there's obviously something interfering with the process.
Belinda was disappointed that her results stayed pretty much the same, even though her fitness improved 31%.
107% fitter?
Joelle also reduced fasting insulin from 725 to 280, and her blood pressure became normal.
73 kilos down.
Danny's fitness improved 41%, and his cholesterol ratio also improved.
When I was about 20, I was about 65, I think, 64 or 65, so that's...
So in 5 weeks, you've got halfway to being 20.
That's right.
I was absolutely astounded by the results we got. You could expect good results like that after 3 months, but we got them in 5 weeks. I was stunned.
The sooner we bring orthodox medicine and natural health together, the sooner we will support the level of health of New Zealanders.
This could be like the Berlin Wall. I think that this change is going to happen fairly rapidly.
When you take a plant, take a fruit, a vegetable, it's very much like an orchestra. There's hundreds of different compounds there that all work together to give us the benefits.
We get older because of disuse, not because our body systems stop working.
The balance between, vegetables and, low carb and lots of protein has been, tremendously beneficial. I think I'm starting to revert the trend, what we call heredity, things that are passed on. I think I've started to reverse all of that and through proper eating rather than medication.
I've got a couple of goals I want to achieve. I know I can do it using this system. There's just some questions I've got in my mind about the place of things like the grains and stuff like that.
I feel that the physical strength that it has given me has allowed me to get off the treadmill in my own life, particularly with my work, to basically express what I want.
What I've learnt to do on this is trust my body. If I win lotto, somehow it's going to make me happier. But in this way, it's starting at the basic level of eating well, exercising well, and it works up to achieving what else
My role is simply really to find out things, tools, techniques that people can use to change their lives for the better. I really believe that each one of us has such rich creativity inside us, and we're so unique. And our job while living on this planet is to live out as much of it as possible. And strangely enough, in order to do that, we really need to be healthy. That is, not just not ill, but really lots and lots of energy.
2 months after this filming, all 8 participants were still continuing with the lifestyle changes they had started for our experiment. Some less strictly than during the 5 weeks, but all of them were now determined to die young, late in life.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.